So welcome everyone. And before we begin the collective reading and reflection, we'll listen to Shraddhavan's reading of what we are going to do today. Then we can meditate upon the words.
A mediatrix with veiled and nameless gods, whose alien will touches our human life. Imitating the world-magician's ways, she invents for her self-bound free will its grooves, and feigns for magic's freaks a binding cause. All worlds she makes the partners of her deeds, accomplices of her mighty violence, her daring leaps into the impossible. From every source she has taken her cunning means. She draws from the free love marriage of the plains elements for her creation's tour de force. A wonder-weft of knowledge incalculable, a compendium of divine invention's feats she has combined to make the unreal true, or liberate suppressed reality. In her unhedged Circean wonderland, pell-mell she shepherds her occult mightinesses. Her mnemonics of the craft of the infinite, jets of the screened subliminal's caprice, tags of the gramarye of inconscience, freedom of a sovereign truth without a law, thoughts that were born in the immortal's world, oracles that break out from behind the shrine, warnings from the demonic inner voice, and peeps and lightning leaps of prophecy and intimations to the inner ear, abrupt interventions stark and absolute, and the superconscient's unaccountable acts have woven her balanced web of miracles and the weird technique of her tremendous art. This bizarre kingdom passed into his charge. As one resisting more the more she loves, her great possessions and her power and law she gave, compelled with a reluctant joy. Herself she gave for rapture and for use. Absolved from aberrations in deep ways, the ends she recovered for which she was made. She turned against the evil she had helped, her engined wrath, her invisible means to slay. Her dangerous moods and arbitrary force she surrendered to the service of the soul and the control of a spiritual will.
So we take up these lines today that we just heard. So today what we are going to touch upon is the secret nature, how it works. So earlier also we had touched upon the secret nature, how it's working. So one is Ishvara and then the other is Shakti, or one is Purusha and the other is Prakriti. Other, not really other, because these two are one. And we have read that earlier in the Secret Knowledge Canto, where in various ways Sri Aurobindo describes how these two who are one, Chit, Shakti, consciousness, force. So they appear to be different, but they are like aspects of each other. So force is an aspect of consciousness, but if we look at just on the shallow perspective, it looks like it's an unconscious brute force. But it is not like that. It appears to be like that, but it's not like that. It's not unconscious, and there are reasons of her workings. So today we start with, here Sri Aurobindo describes about this secret nature, starting from a mediatrix. So we take up these new lines today. Yeah, and again I would like to reiterate, because often we forget. So the best way of reading Savitri, Mother has described, I think most of us would know, is all by yourself. That is the best way of reading Savitri. That Mother says that maybe make a discipline for yourself, and every day, just open any page. Or if you are feeling in turmoil or you want some answers from life, just randomly open, remember the Mother, open any page, and then something is revealed to us. So that is the best way of reading Savitri. And these sessions are just meant for us to maybe see like a window, into Savitri. And I cannot say, and we should not believe that we have to like attend these sessions and only then we are doing Savitri. All of us know, we have our own intimate connection with Savitri, and these sessions are just like a little bit of jharokha or a window, that okay, that motivates us to read Savitri all by ourselves. So these all these reflections and interpretations, or whatever readings we may be doing, they have their limitations. While Savitri is beyond all limitations, one single line which we may be reading now, interpreting it differently, actually some days after that, or a few years or months after that, we may totally look at it differently. The meaning will be revealed in a different way. So we have to be open here, and it's not through the mind that Savitri is kind of imbibed. We all, I think, are aware of that, but it's good to remind from time to time that it's okay to miss the sessions also. And of course that is why these sessions are open sessions, because anytime you can join in, and not a course, like you're not doing a course here, and it's just out of our joy that we join. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear to all of us and myself. Yeah, so yeah, let us see this revelations of this mediatrix. Yeah, anyone who would like to read, please go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
A mediatrix with veiled and nameless gods, whose alien will touches our human life, imitating the world-magician's ways, she invents for her self-bound free will its grooves, and feigns for magic's freaks a binding cause.
So here Sri Aurobindo talks about, he reveals in successive stages how this, like earlier he revealed that how this almighty occultist is working, Ishvara aspect, and now he shares about this Shakti, or the aspect of force, and the Prakriti aspect, that how that is also equivalent in kind of occultist capacities, and it is working in ways which are just mind-boggling. You can't fathom those things by mind. So a mediatrix, and mediatrix, we use the word where something is being mediated. There is a mediator between two things. So we use this word where, for example, Sri Aurobindo talks about a mediator between spirit and matter. Something like a bridge that joins spirit and matter. Not really joins because they are one, but kind of a link, because we often fail that we, in our meditations, we may have beautiful revelations and experiences. But when it comes to our daily life, we feel that, oh, I am again failing. So there is a gulf between spirit and matter. And to bridge that gulf, this is the mediatrix, or we can say the mother, the divine mother is the golden key or the mediatrix. So a mediatrix with veiled and nameless gods. Its working is in veiled uh, aspects. We don't know how these are happening. And this made me wonder that in biology or in any aspect of nature, we see physics, chemistry, or all these subjects, or either when we look at nature, we see that it's actually so miraculous, things that are happening. The only thing is that we take it for granted. We think, "Arey, ye to hota hai," and we think that no, it's not a miracle. While Albert Einstein said that there is only two ways to live life. One is knowing that everything is a miracle, and the other is that actually nothing is a miracle. Things are just happening. So when we look at nature, when we look at how many species of organisms are present, how many different, very, very interesting creatures and insects and birds are available to us, we see that how can that happen? But it is happening, and we are so lost in our own thoughts and the little stories that we are absent to that miracle happening. Look at our body, the way things are happening in the body, that irrespective of so much turmoil and stress that we go through, the body somehow still survives and relatively can maintain its function. I wonder when I go on roads, at times when I'm thinking about something and maybe stressed about something, I actually wonder that isn't that a miracle that so many of us, like billions of us on the roads, and nobody is banging into each other, knowing that this is the nature of, like, condition of our minds, that our minds are so corrupted. We are all the time thinking about things in our lives and stories and happenings, and yet we are able to survive relatively well. So it's a miracle which is happening. Every moment of life is a miracle, but since we are not able to be present to that miracle, it doesn't appear like one. So a mediatrix with veiled and nameless gods. Nameless god. Now, gods are powers. We know that in India we worship each element of nature is a god.
Mhm.
Right? And also when we look at the body, each part of the body has a god assigned or a goddess assigned to that part. There are many prayers also in Hindu mythology. There are prayers where uh, there is one prayer, Karagre Vasate Lakshmi,
Ragre Vasati Lakshmi.
कि लक्ष्मी मेरे हाथ के ऊपर वाले भाग में है, मध्य भाग में सरस्वती, and then Govindam, Karmule Govindam. So that is how, that's the beauty of Indian mythology or Indian kind of culture, that each aspect of creation is linked to some power. So these gods, nameless gods, are actually powers. And these powers are what she is making use of. These are nature's powers. So fire is a power, earth is a power, all these elements are powers, and plus all the nameless powers which we don't know. So a mediatrix with veiled and nameless gods whose alien will touches our human life. Now we don't even know in how many aspects we are being touched by so many forces, but we have no clue. Imitating the world magician's ways. So now this goes back to how earlier Sri Aurobindo was describing an almighty occultist erects in space this beautiful world. Kind of it came earlier. How the Lord of or the Creator is creating something very magical and beautiful. So now it is relating to that imitating. She is imitating the world magician's ways. How that almighty occultist is acting, she is taking inspiration from that and creating her own world with her own whims and fancies. She invents for her self-bound free will its grooves. Now, grooves is something like patterns. Like there is a groove, and on that groove, the tire of the train or the wheels of the train are stuck, and then it moves. So she is the one who is inventing, and she's self-bound. She has done her own limitations. Like she has decided, okay, in this way I would act, and then it makes for a law. That is how the laws of physics and chemistries, etc. We come to be aware of. So she has a free will, and through that free will, she is making her own foundations, and she is making her own patterns in which she is making things function. So beautiful sorcery kind of a thing, magician. She invents for her self-bound free will its grooves. She is making those grooves, the patterns, and feigns for her magic's freaks a binding cause. And she is feigning in the sense that she is like with her whim and like just a kind of, this is what I want to do today. So she feigns like, this is what I want to do today. And below that, there is a law that is operating. So ऊपर से लगता है कि ये हो कैसे रहा है, ऊपर ऊपर से ऐसा लगता है कि how is that possible, but between it, or sorry, beneath it, we see that there is a law in function, and this we are able to see it everywhere in the universe. All the beauties that we are able to see in biological nature or in outer space or wherever, she feigns for magic's freaks a binding cause. So that magic is only a surface, and actually it is a mask. Beneath that, there is a law that is operating. So this is how she is creating, and then it continues further how she acts. So anything so far? Anything here, anyone? So now there comes a very long sentence, actually, but we won't be able to take it all at once. So we take it in breaks. Yeah. Yes, anyone would like to read?
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yes.
All worlds she makes the partners of her deeds, accomplices of her mighty violence. Her daring leaps into the impossible. From every source she has taken her cunning means. She draws from the free love marriage of the plains, elements for her creations tour de-force, a wonder-weft of knowledge incalculable, a compendium of divine inventions feats. She has combined to make the unreal true or liberate suppressed reality.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So this, when I was reading through these lines, it reminded me of one movie. It's like not really a movie, but yeah, maybe a movie. It's called Baraka. Maybe some of us may be aware of it. The movie has no dialogues. It's just like a documentary. So I thought maybe we can shortly have a glimpse of it, and then of course I can share the link. You can all watch at your own convenience. It's called Baraka. I saw it a long time ago, and it's always very inspirational to see even a little bit of that. So that really touches this aspect of how things are being created through this secret nature. This movie came out in 1992. Yes. So I'll stop here, else we will be just absorbed too much. So I just wanted to like give us a glimpse, and we can all watch if we are interested at our own convenience. So it's like this particular documentary or movie. It's quite. I find it quite magical, because there is a lot of kind of a background silence, because there are no dialogues, no commentary, nothing, and there are just like this. There is music, and that zoom in to those events that as you saw, and then zoom out, and then slowly it changes, which all of us will actually discover how that movie progresses. It's quite a very interesting glimpse of our lives, and very intricate and mystical lives. So when I was going through these lines, it reminded me of this movie, so I thought I'd share with all of us. Yeah, so this mediatrix, all words, she makes the partners of her deeds. So whatever are her creations, she is making use of all the different planes of consciousnesses. There is no force that she is not making use of. All worlds, she makes the partners of her deeds. So things are very intricate. Accomplices of her mighty violence. So here violence is used in the term of when we violate something, when I'm violating a rule. Accomplices. So she is making those different worlds and the forces of all the different planes an accomplice of her mighty violation. So she's wanting to create something which is very creative and that doesn't follow any rule. We see it in artists and when people are making music, and also especially cross country music, like when people are trying to blend Western and Indian, we see that it makes us lose boundaries. That there are rules, there are subtle rules, but then there is a lot of freedom in which the artists are playing. So she is making something through her forces and making every force a partner of her creation. So all worlds she makes the partners of her deeds, accomplices of her mighty violence. Her daring leaps into the impossible. So she is able to create that which you cannot imagine that can happen. There are many, many examples of that, in the present day world. That day I was looking at this mountain goats, that how mountain goats, they actually defy gravity. They can travel vertically upwards 200 meters, and without falling. Like they have such agility. So these kind of, miraculous things, magical things are present. So it's defying gravity. Now I can wonder how is that possible? But she's made in such a manner, the mountain goat, and the things that she eats, that to find those things that she eats, she has to travel very tricky areas, and through that she is able to fend for herself and to climb uphill in such a manner which we cannot imagine. So her daring leaps into the impossible. From every source she has taken her cunning means. So her cleverness, her cunningness, she's taken inspiration from every source. She has not left anything untouched. जहाँ वो जैसे दत्तात्रेय कहते हैं ना कि मेरे इतने सारे गुरु हैं, इससे ये मैंने सीखा, उससे वो मैंने सीखा. So she makes use of all the forces and elements and everything that is available and creates something which seems impossible. So from every source she has taken her cunning means. She draws from the free love marriage of the planes elements for her creation tour de force. So she creates something which is unimaginable, which is like a feat, daring, tour de force, and that she is able to draw from a free love marriage of planes. So in mathematics, some of us may remember, I was not very good at maths, not even now, but mathematics we used to have these Venn diagrams. You remember? So there were this one circle and this another circle, and then there is part where both the circles are kind of merging and sharing a little bit of that domain, where both the like this function and this function, they have a shared function when it comes to a little bit of that portion in between. So it reminded me of that, when he talks about she draws from the free love marriage of the plane. So there are different planes of existence. This we are aware because when we read Mother and Sri Aurobindo, they talk about, very simply put, we talk about our mind, body and feelings. So basically we talk about these three instrumental aspects of our being. Then we talk about the psychic, which is the aspect which is ruling, or like in the veil, it is behind. And later on we can also talk about the spiritual aspect. But in the instrument nature, we have mind, thoughts, we have feelings and emotions, which is the vital, and then we have the body consciousness. But Sri Aurobindo and Mother talks about their interconnection, that it is not like, okay, this is mind, this is body, and this is vital. They are not like separated. There is mental vital. Then there is vital physical. And then there is physical mental. So all of these planes of consciousness are interconnected, and like there is a weft and a warp, and वो जैसे ताना बाना बोलते हैं ना उसको. They are interrelated, interconnected, and there are no strong compartments of divisions in between. So Sri Aurobindo talks about a vital mind. Then she talks about a physical mind. Then he talks about a vital physical aspect and a physical mental aspect. So all of these aspects we learn as we study and look at our own self and observe ourselves. We get to know of these aspects. So things are quite, one can say, intricate and complicated. And that is why Life Divine has to be this thick, or Synthesis of Yoga has to be this thick, because things are not just black and white. There are forces operating at so many different planes, and those forces, all of those elements, imagine that there is a universe outside of us, and here we are. Each single element is actually a microcosm. All the universe is present in us also. So there is an aspect of Jupiter in us, there is an aspect of Mars in us. So जो भी बाहर दिखता है वो सारा अंदर है. So it's quite interesting, and that is why they may call it mystery of life, because you can't solve it with this limited mind. You actually boggle up your mind. That, और फिर एकदम से फिर सर झुक जाता है उस क्रिएटर के सामने कि भैया ये बनाया तो तूने बनाया क्या है, कि अचंभा, लोग इसको अचंभा भी कहते हैं कि एक अचंभा ऐसा बनाया. So things are quite working at different planes. So she makes use of all these powers, and this is how, like free love marriage of planes, I could relate that plane, like for example mental plane and vital plane, and now they are interacting, but they are not interacting like अच्छा हमने contract sign किया हुआ है तो हम together ही रहेंगे. They are not interacting in that rigid manner. Free love marriage. So it's an open relationship. So that's what she draws from. She draws from the free love marriage of the planes. It's a beautiful imagery that he creates. Elements for her creations tour de force. So what she is able to create and manifest, those elements she is able to draw from these free love marriage of these planes interacting with each other. She knows how to do that. She is an occultist. A wonder-weft of knowledge incalculable. So weft usually we use, like we tana bana, like things are, when we are knitting or crochet, we are knitting into each other, two, three different kind of threads. So a wonder-weft of knowledge incalculable. There is no limit to that knowledge. A compendium of divine inventions, feats. So compendium is like a vast collection of all the things that can be kind of collected and given together, like a dictionary we have. It's a compendium of divine inventions, feats. So there is nothing that is not possible here. Everything is possible. Infinite possibilities are possible with her creation. She has combined to make the unreal true. तो जो अभी हमको लगता है कि अरे नहीं ये तो impossible है, mother says no. Never say that to a child. That at times when a child is sharing his dream or her dream with us, we say अरे पागल है क्या? ये थोड़ी ना possible है. So mother says when dreams are being shared by children, never say that this is impossible, because at some or the other level it is always a possibility. So little children actually, they want to fly. My younger one, I remember when he was little, maybe like 3.5 or 4, he used to look at a bird like a teeter, like running fast and then immediately taking a flight, and she's gone. And he used to follow the bird and do like this, like as if he would also fly. So I found it always very fascinating. And somewhere, in our spirit, we know that we can fly. It is our body that makes us so limited, because right now we are under the subjection of ignorance. We are not masters of the ignorance, or we are not masters of the body yet. But a day will come, and maybe at some other plane, like in dreams, people can fly. So in other planes, we can fly. We can do all those things which right now. So for example, if I have a severed limb, like I'm not able to walk right now, but in my dreams, I am actually limitless. I can fly, and we think that no, that is a dream, but this is real. But that's not true. This is a different level of reality, and dreams are a different level of reality. And Sri Aurobindo and mother talk about going into kind of a vital journey, or traveling into different planes. All that is happening right now. It's a possibility. But of course, we don't go that much into that domain because we can get lost. तो अपनी जो साधना से दिमाग हट के वहाँ के एक्सपीरियंसेस में दिमाग घुस जाता है. अक्सर लोगों के साथ ये होता है. तो इसलिए मदर, she was herself an occultist, and she did not share this occultist knowledge with everybody just like that. She did not do that. And Shraddhavan was sharing that she had a cupboard. Actually, there was an almirah which was locked, and all those books of occultism and all these forces and how they work, and these other forces, it was just locked in that cabinet, and it was not to be shared with everyone, because we can get lost in those things. So she would only share with those people who had natural inclination and abilities of handling these forces. Like I think Anurakta was one of them. If some of us have seen his interview, he gave one interview with Narad. It must be available on YouTube. So he shares that mother told him many things. Anurakta. So he did not know that he was capable. He did not know that he was capable. But mother saw, when he met mother for the first time, mother saw presence of Kali or Durga, I don't know, behind his being. And then she realized that he has capacities. So she encouraged actually him, and he was quite good at all these sorcery and occultism. But this cannot be done with everyone. No, not everybody is capable, and these forces have, like, they are dangerous powers. तो सिर्फ उसी के हाथ लगनी चाहिए जिसके पास कैपेसिटी है उसको टॉलरेट करने की. अदरवाइज सबके हाथ लग गई तो people can actually go mad. We can go mad because we don't have the capacity. Yeah, I don't know why I went there. Yes, she has combined to make the unreal true or liberate suppressed reality. So now he shares how this suppressed reality is liberated through different means. In the pink highlighted lines. Yeah, anything here? Anyone so far? Okay, so let's go ahead then. So I'm sorry. Would anyone want to read the pink lines?
Yeah, I'll go ahead, Monica. In her unhedged Circean wonderland, pell-mell she shepherds her occult mightinesses, her mnemonics of the craft of the infinite, jets of the screened subliminal caprice, tags of the grammar of inconscience, freedom of a sovereign truth without a law, thoughts that were born in the immortal's world, oracles that break out from behind the shrine, warnings from the demonic inner voice, and peeps and lightning leaps of prophecy, and intimations to the inner ear, abrupt interventions, stark and absolute, and the superconscious unaccountable acts have woven her balanced web of miracles and the weird technique of her tremendous art.
Yeah, thank you. So many complicated, difficult words here, and we are glad for Shraddhavan's.
Yes, too many.
Yeah, she has. If we read, if we listen to Shraddhavan's English of Savitri, she really, I mean, it's such a legend. I would say, what she has left for all of us. In coming years, I think we would know it, even the importance of it. Just like now, we are realizing after Sri Aurobindo has left his physical presence, that how much he has left for us. That which is not enough for one lifetime. So the amount of, I think, clarity Shraddhavan has left for us in matter of how to decipher these very cryptic words. I think it's really something. So in her unhedged Circean wonderland. So this Circean, this Circe, this is Shraddhavan had shared that this is coming from Greek mythology. And just a second. In Greek mythology, we have just let me just pull it up. Yeah, here. So Circe in Greek legend, a sorceress, the daughter of Helios, sun god, and of the ocean nymph Perse. She was able by means of drugs and incantations to change humans into wolves, lions, and swine. The Greek hero Odysseus visited her island, Aeia, with his companions, whom she changed into swine. So all these, these capacities which are magical. So here there is this from mythology, Greek mythology, we have this sorceress, Circe, and it is related here in Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, where he uses this word in her unhedged Circean wonderland. So everything is possible here. Magic is happening every moment. Humans are turning into animals, creatures of different sorts. So in our hedge we use when there is a boundary. We have a hedge when there is a boundary. But here there is no boundary. Everything is a possibility. So in her unhedged Circean wonderland, a land like this where everything is possible, all the magic is possible, pell-mell she shepherds her occult mightinesses. So shepherd, we use the term when like we see a ग्वाला, खूब सारी भेड़ के साथ वो उसको लेफ्ट से राइट से इकट्ठा करके वो आगे लेके जा रहा है, और वो थोड़ी सी शीप इधर भागने लग जाती है, फिर वो इकट्ठे करके उसको आगे ले जाता है. So pell-mell, usually it's like very chaotic, too many sheep together. We have seen many a times these shepherds, uh, too much, can get chaotic. But she is able to steer all these forces of different sorts. So pell-mell, she shepherds her occult mightinesses. So all these powers that she is making use of, which may appear very pell-mell, but she is able to make use of them in a very beautiful manner, like like sorceress. She knows her craft, her mnemonics of the craft of the infinite. And again, here mnemonics is a word where we use it when, for example, we have to remember, say, this ये है ना,
Mnemonics are the techniques to remember anything.
रिमेम्बर. हाँ, जैसे रेनबो है, रेनबो के कलर्स अगर हमको रिमेम्बर करने होते हैं तो हम विबग्योर यूज करते हैं,
Vidyur करते
है
हैं.
ना. तो ऐसे ही वो भी होता है ना, माई वेरी, जो वो न्यूमेरिक, ये जो केमिस्ट्री में वो टेबल नहीं होती, क्या कहते हैं उसको?
There are various techniques of
yeah.
pegatable of mnemonics, various
Yes, yes.
techniques of learning.
Yeah.
If you want to learn language, caballo. So it's a Spanish word. Caballo means horse. So if you want to learn, so you can associate it with different caballo.
Exactly.
So this is also mnemonic.
Yeah. So the art of remembering something.
Art of
memorizing something. So here, it refers to some kind of an art that she is using. Her mnemonics of the craft of the infinite. Jets of the screened subliminals caprice. So subliminal is that part of our being. जैसे एक आइसबर्ग होता है ना, आइसबर्ग की टिप विजिबल होती है, बाकी सारा पार्ट नीचे की तरफ छुपा होता है, दिखता नहीं है. So subliminal is referred in integral yoga is to that part of our being which is making things happen, but which is not usually visible. We are not aware of that. So I am saying a word. I think I know why I am saying the word, but that is not true. There is a very big influence of the subliminal which is making me say that word, which I have no clue of. So there is a vast part of us which we are not aware of, but which is acting behind the curtain. And that's your
similarly, like we talk about slip of tongue, that my tongue slipped, but actually there was a subliminal force which made you speak that word.
Exactly. So we are not aware of our own intentions because we don't know ourselves well. So this subliminal is jets of screened subliminal. So jets is like, वो एक धारा टाइप निकलती है ना नीचे से, कुछ आपने खोदा अगर अर्थ में पानी के लिए, तो एकदम से jet, it will jet out. So from that subliminal, which is not really known, something she makes use of, all these forces and these the aspects of subliminal. So jets of the screen, subliminals caprice. Now this is described how she is making this happen, liberate suppressed reality, how things are happening in ways which are not usually we are conscious of. Tags of the grammary of inconscience. So again, she makes use of the forces of inconscience also. I am not aware of what inconscience, how she makes use of that, but she makes use of that. And there are things happening in our being because of that darkness of inconscious, because of that tamas of the inconscious, but I am not aware of that. She is making use of that. So grammary is like a grammar, she knows the grammar of the inconscience and she is making use of those forces, those aspects. Freedom of a sovereign truth without a law. Thoughts that were born in the immortal's world, oracles that break out from behind the shrine. So these are the aspects which at times, we have intuitive glimpses. हमें लगता है कि नहीं, मुझे एकदम से लगा कि मुझे उस गली में नहीं मुड़ना है ना. क्यों पता लगा मुझे कि उस गली में नहीं मुड़ना है, इसका मुझे कोई अंदाजा नहीं है, बट मेरे को एक अंदर से फीलिंग आई कि मुझे उस गली में नहीं जाना है. So oracles that break out from behind the shrine. So some, and then he uses another, warnings from the demonic inner voice. So there is something guiding us from all these behind the veils and behind the curtains, which we are not aware of, but things are in action. Only if we silence our surface consciousness and step into our inner being, then we more and more become aware of how these forces are working. At least we may know that these forces are working. We may not know how these forces are working, but we will know that yes, I did get a signal that something is wrong, or something is right, or this is the way I have to follow, or this is not what I have to follow. So all these glimpses we keep on getting, and thoughts that were born in the immortal world. So we think that I am thinking from a logical, analytical mind, and this is how I gave rise to this thought. But not really. I'm not sure. Those thoughts are coming, we don't know from where. And scientists and geniuses, they also have very flashes of insights and thoughts which are coming to them in form of thoughts, but they are from somewhere else. And so she makes use of all these aspects and forces and innumerable planes of existence. Warnings from the demonic inner voice and peeps and lightning leaps of prophecy. Many a times we get to know in advance what is to happen. People are, we all of us from time to time, when there is a connection within, we have clairvoyance. We just know immediately. Either we know about a person, either we know about, okay, this is my guru, or I don't know, many things can happen from time to time. So peeps and lightning leaps of prophecy. Prophecy is something which is like we know in advance what is to happen. And intimations to the inner ear. Again, we get to know of something which is like an intimation कि ये होने वाला है. Be prepared. Abrupt interventions, stark and absolute, and the superconscious, unaccountable acts. All these aspects have woven her balanced web of miracles and the weird technique of her tremendous art. So she is making use of all these different aspects, which of course, we may have read, but we don't know how they are working. They're working in very mystical, intricate ways. Now this kingdom of beautiful intricacy and so much of force and power and incalculable knowledge, this now she passes on to Ashwapati, because Ashwapati now is ready. He has become he's ready for this handling of these forces. He has shown his patrata. So now she is a slave to Ashwapati. This comes in the coming lines. And now Sri Aurobindo shares that अब इसका जैसे होता है ना कि अब for this is the purpose for which I was born. So now this secret nature actually realizes that okay, this was the purpose for which I was born. To be in that kind of hands which can make proper use of me, because now that hand is ready. So this we read in the last few lines which are about to come. Anything here? Anyone so far? We'll just take this last kind of few lines for today, and then yeah, this much we can take, and rest we take next time. Yeah, this much. Yeah, anybody would like to read?
This bizarre kingdom passed into his charge as one resisting more the more she loves. Her great possessions and her power and lore she gave compelled with a reluctant joy. Herself she gave for rapture and for use. Absolved from aberrations in deep ways, the ends she recovered for which she was made. She turned against the evil she had helped, her engined wrath, her invisible means to slay, her dangerous moods and arbitrary force. She surrendered to the service of the soul and the control of a spiritual will.
Thank you. So usually the way we live is like as if I am a little individual subject to all the forces of life. Anything can happen to me anytime, right? This is how we usually live in our ordinary consciousness. But that is not our destiny. There is something else that we have to do, and which here, it comes that we are not supposed to be a subject or a victim to all these forces. If we do the desired discipline, the wanted discipline, if we discipline our life in certain manner and do the required sadhana, then all these forces are actually at our feet, of which right now we are subject to. And this, again, as we were sharing, I think the last session, that for example, people like, say, Mahavatar Babaji, some of us may have heard about him. So he is known to be a yogi who is alive for, say, more than 2000 years, and he can take as kind of a form as he likes. He can appear, he can disappear, and he is not the only one. There are many who are overlooking the earth, and they are immortalized. So these things are possible, but for that a lot of sadhana is required. और बाकी हम अपने आप को समझते हैं, हमको लगता है कि हम तो भाई वो होंगे कोई स्पेशल, हम थोड़ी ना है. So this is how we limit ourselves, just because we don't want to put in the required effort and put in the required sadhana, because tamas pulls us down, inertia pulls us down. We want our lower kind of entertainment, that keeps us pulling us away, as is shared in Savitri. Earth joys keep away the immortals, shut from thee the immortals' bliss. So if I am too much involved in all these earthly joys and all the time craving for those joys, then I can't get immortals' bliss. So there comes a point, if not in this lifetime, another, we don't know when, but there will come a time in our life, in the sequence of lives that we take up, that we say that now we are ready. We have had enough of all these experiences, and slowly the kind of, one can say, spirit or the soul, it becomes ready for a greater adventure. So now Ashwapati is like, he's in the forefront of humanity. He is the leader, as is shown. He is showing what all is possible. So this bizarre kingdom of how these secret forces are working in the occult world and making things happen, she passed into his charge. As one resisting more, the more she loves. Her great possessions and her power and lore she gave, compelled with a reluctant joy. तो मतलब इच्छा तो नहीं हो रही देने की, लेकिन फिर भी पता है कि ये सही जगह है तो मैं दे दूं अपने आप को. तो लव स्टोरीज में ऐसा होता है ना, द वन रेजिस्टिंग मोर द मोर शी लव्स, कि नहीं मुझे इस इंसान की शक्ल भी नहीं देखनी, और उसी से बहुत ज्यादा आपको लगाव है, या यू वांट टू बी टुगेदर. सो द वन रेजिस्टिंग मोर द मोर शी लव्स, her great possessions and her power and lore she gave, compelled with a reluctant joy. So there is a joy, but there is also a reluctance. Herself she gave for rapture and for use. Absolved from aberrations in deep ways. Now, so far, the way she has been working is like too much of like a chaotic kind of a creation she is making. If you have seen people in action who are very creative, so I have seen little children who are doing art or say handicraft, and nobody has taught them yet. So there is no proper instructions that they have got कि अच्छा इसको ऐसे करना है, नहीं. They will use Fevicol like as if they are using water. Like they use it abundantly. उनको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है ये कितने की फेविकोल है, उसमें वो खूब सारा चावल मिक्स कर दिए फेविकोल में, उसमें खूब सारा टेप मिक्स कर दी. So they are wanting to create something. They are at action, but they are using it in ways which are like weird, and too much abundance. And this Sri Aurobindo shared earlier also, and I think secret knowledge, that how she creates with too much abundance. कि फैला फैला के वेस्ट कर करके कुछ क्रिएट करना, क्योंकि उसके पास कोई कमी नहीं है, सब कुछ अवेलेबल है अबंडेंस में. सो शी नाउ शी इज सेइंग कि अब मुझे इस सब की जरूरत नहीं है. Absolved from aberrations in deep waves, the ends she recovered for which she was made. Now she realizes that okay, अब मुझे वो सब की जरूरत नहीं है. Now I am at the service and feet of this master, and this is the purpose of my existence. I have found him. So she turned against the evil she had helped. So in her pell-mell and the way it was happening, she even helped the evil, because there was no difference between evil and good and bad, and everything was creative. है ना. तो अभी तभी हम यूनिवर्स में देखते हैं और वर्ल्ड में देखते हैं ऐसी ऐसी एट्रोसिटीज हो जाती हैं. ह्यूमन इंसान सोचता है कि हाउ ऑन अर्थ कैन वन ह्यूमन बीइंग डू टू अनदर ह्यूमन बीइंग, हाउ कैन यू डू दैट, है ना. ऐसी ऐसी एट्रोसिटीज हो जाती हैं, बट ऑल ऑफ दैट इज अलाउड. सो देयर इज सो मच फ्रीडम एट प्ले, दैट गिरना चाहो तो इंसान से भी नीचे गिर सकते हो, एनिमल से भी नीचे गिर सकते हो, और उठना चाहो तो भगवान के भी ऊपर उठ सकते हो. भगवान इन द सेंस दीज गॉड्स गॉडेसेस, उससे भी ऊपर जा सकते हैं. लाइफ डिवाइन, दैट कैन हैपन. सो नाउ शी टर्न्ड अगेंस्ट द इविल शी हैड हेल्प्ड. अब उसकी जरूरत नहीं है. हर इंजन रॉथ, हर इनविजिबल मीन्स टू स्ले, हर डेंजरस moods and arbitrary force, she surrendered to the service of the soul. So all these titanic forces that she was making use of in wanting to create all this web and waft of life, she says, now I have come to a place where I can rest and he can make use of me. She surrendered all these powers to the service of the soul. So if we remember before this, the Canto 4, there was the yoga of the soul's release, where we were talking about being a witness, stepping back from mind, feelings, emotions, body, rising above into our greater spiritual fate. So now he is realized, there is a realization of that soul consciousness. So she surrendered all these powers to a realized soul and the control of a spiritual will. So somebody who knows how to use these powers nicely. Now those powers are in safe hands. Nobody can make wrong use of those powers now. Yeah. Yes, so we stop here for today. Any last comments? Anyone? I would definitely recommend those of us who are interested, please listen to, if we want to, of course, go into what we were reading today, listen to English of Savitri by Shraddhavan, because each line and very difficult words that we were reading many a times, very words which have a deeper meaning coming from Greek mythology or some other folklore which we may not be aware of. So if we are interested, we should listen to that. Okay, so shall we end then today? Okay, so let's take a moment of silence then. Sharing and dedicating all the merit that we may have accumulated owing to our individual or collective efforts, reflections, understanding. Sharing it with all the sentient beings near and far. May we all have the courage the strength and the perseverance to walk towards our true destiny. May we all be well and happy. Thank you.